Beneath the church floor. Part 1. The warning. The old church stood alone at the edge of a quiet town called Black Hollow. No one had gone inside for many years. People said it was cursed. They told stories of a priest who disappeared during a late-night mass. Some said he fell through the church floor. Others said something pulled him down. No one ever found him. Sarah Lorne didn't believe in ghosts. She had left Black Hollow years ago and never planned to return. When her father died, everything changed. He had been the last person to take care of the church. At the funeral, someone gave Sarah a letter her father had written before he died. It was short and strange. Do not open the trapdoor under the altar. Ever. That was all. No reason why. No goodbye. Just a warning. Sarah didn't know what he meant. She remembered the altar in the church. It was big and made of dark wood. She remembered kneeling there when she was a little girl. But she didn't remember a trapdoor. Now she had to find out. Part 2. The church. Sarah walked up the hill to the church as the sun went down. The building looked worse than she remembered. Vines covered the walls. The windows were cracked. A large black crow sat on the cross at the top and flew away when she got close. The front doors creaked when she pushed them open. Inside, the church smelled like old books and damp wood. Dust floated in the air. The pews were broken, and some had fallen over. The stained glass windows were dirty, and one had a hole through the face of an angel, but the altar was still there. It stood at the front of the church like a quiet giant. The wood was dark, almost black. Sarah walked closer. She knelt down and brushed the floor near it. That's when she saw a small square shape in the floor, barely visible, a trapdoor. She pulled out her flashlight and shined it on the outline. There was no handle, just a small metal ring covered in dust. Sarah didn't open it, not yet. Part 3. Scratching sounds. Sarah decided to sleep in the church that night. There was an old cot in the back room where the priest used to stay. She lay down and tried to sleep, but the wind outside howled all night. At midnight, she heard something strange. Scratch, scratch, scratch. It was soft, like nails on wood. Her eyes opened wide. She held her breath. The sound came again. Scratch, scratch. It was coming from the altar. Sarah grabbed her flashlight and got out of bed. She walked slowly into the main room of the church. The sound stopped. She pointed the light toward the altar. Nothing. But when she got closer, she saw something that made her stop. There was a thin line of red on the edge of the trapdoor. Blood. Fresh. Part 4 of the journal. Sarah stepped back from the trapdoor. Her heart beat fast. She looked around the church. No one was there. No footprints. No open doors. So where did the blood come from? She went back to the small room and sat down on the old cot. Her father's bag was there. Inside it, she found his Bible and something hidden in the back, a small leather journal. The first few pages were about church repairs and dates, but the writing soon changed. The noise is back. Every night, I hear the scratching. It's louder now. I pray, but it doesn't stop. Sometimes I hear whispers, like voices beneath the floor. They say my name. Something is under the church. It's not of God. Sarah closed the journal. Her hands were shaking. Her father had been scared, very scared. She looked at the trapdoor again and made a choice. Part 5. The trapdoor. It was early morning. The light coming through the windows was gray and weak. Sarah brought a crowbar from her car. She hooked it under the ring on the trapdoor. With a loud creak, it opened. Cold air rushed out like a breath from below. It smelled like earth and old things. She shined her flashlight into the dark hole. A wooden ladder led down. She took a deep breath and climbed down. The air grew colder with each step. The space below was not a basement. It was a tunnel. The walls were stone, rough and damp. Old roots hung from the ceiling. At the end of the tunnel was a wooden door. Carved into the door were strange symbols. Circles, triangles, eyes with no pupils. She didn't know what they meant. She touched the door, and it opened by itself. Part 6. The room below. The door creaked open slowly. Inside was a stone room, round and low. The floor was covered in dust. Candles sat in a circle, melted down to stubs. And in the center of the room, a hole. Pit, about 5 feet wide, with black stone around it. Sarah stepped closer. The air above the pit felt wrong, like it was moving, even though there was no wind. She dropped a small stone and she never heard it hit the bottom. Suddenly, a whisper filled the room. Soft voice, just behind her ear. Sarah. She spun around. No one was there. Part 7. The Whispering Pit. Sarah stood frozen, staring at the pit. She didn't imagine the voice. It had said her name. She knew it. Sarah. It came again, but now it sounded farther away, like it came from deep below. She knelt by the edge of the pit and looked down. Nothing. Just darkness. A deep, never-ending black. Then something moved. She saw it only for a sick-on pale fingers pulling back into the dark. Sarah gasped and scrambled away. Her flashlight flickered, then went out. Total darkness. Then a sound. Not a whisper. Not scratching. Breathing. Slow, heavy breathing. Coming from the pit. She ran. Part 8. The Door Seals. Sarah climbed the ladder fast and slammed the trapdoor shut. She pushed the altar over it to keep it closed. Her heart pounded. She could still hear the breathing in her ears. She packed her things. She was going to leave. She didn't care about the letter, or the journal, or the church. But when she reached the front doors, they wouldn't open. She pulled hard. Nothing. She tried the side door. Locked tight. Then she noticed the windows. The stained glass had changed. The angels now had no eyes. The saints were gone. And the glass showed something new, a dark pit, and something crawling out of it. She stepped back, horrified. Sarah. The voice came again, from behind her. Part 9. The Thing Below. Sarah turned around slowly. The trapdoor was open again. The altar had moved like something pushed it aside. A figure stood halfway out of the hole. Its skin was gray and stretched tight over its bones. It had no eyes, no nose, just a white mouth full of small, sharp teeth. It smiled. Sarah screamed and ran into the sacristy, slamming the door. She held it shut as the thing crawled out of the pit. It didn't speak anymore. Now it growled, low. Hungry. It pounded on the door. Then it stopped. Silence. Sarah waited, not breathing. Nothing. Part 10. The Final Choice. She knew the thing hadn't left. It was waiting. Maybe it couldn't leave the church. Maybe it needed her to go back. Her father had tried to keep it sealed, but now it was free, and it wanted her. Sarah looked at the crucifix he had left her. It was cold and heavy. She remembered his letter. Do not open the trapdoor. Too late. Now she had to finish it. She took the crucifix, lit a candle, and opened the sacristy door. The church was empty, quiet. The trapdoor was wide open. She walked to the edge. The thing was waiting in the dark. She held out the crucifix. It hissed and pulled back. She stepped closer to the hole. Then she jumped in. Part 11. Into the pit. Sarah fell through cold air, deeper and deeper. The pit didn't feel like a hole. It felt endless, like it went down forever. Then suddenly, she landed. The ground was soft, like wet soil. It smelled like rot and smoke. She opened her eyes. She was in a giant underground chamber. Black stone walls surrounded her. Symbols like the ones on the door above glowed faintly in red. And in the center of the room, the creature. But now it was larger, taller than a man. Its arms were too long, and its face was stretched into that same terrible smile. All around it were bones. So many bones. Sarah raised the crucifix. Stay back, she shouted. The creature hissed, but it didn't move. It watched her, tilting its head. Then it spoke, with a voice that sounded like her father's. You opened the door, Sarah. Now you belong here. Part 12. The Fire Below. Sarah remembered the candles in the stone room above. The journal had said something about a ritual, a seal. Maybe the candles were part of it. If she could trap it again. She pulled matches from her pocket and lit the candle she still carried. Then she walked in a circle around the creature, lighting old candle stubs one by one. The symbols on the walls began to glow brighter. The creature screamed. It rushed at her but hit an invisible wall just as she lit the last candle. It was trapped. It slammed its fists against the air, could not pass. Sarah dropped to her knees, crying. She had done it, but she couldn't leave. Part 13. One last prayer. The only way to keep the creature sealed was to stay. Her father had known. That's why he'd never left, why he warned her. She whispered a prayer, not from any book, just from her heart. Let this thing never rise again. Let it never harm another soul. She sat in the center of the circle as the creature screamed and vanished into the pit. The candles burned low. Darkness returned. Years later, the church still stands at the edge of Black Hollow. No one goes near it. Sometimes, on quiet nights, a light can be seen in the window. A single candle, burning at the altar. And if you listen very closely, You might hear a woman's voice praying beneath the church floor.